Hello everyone, Niklsun here, and welcome to Coming Soon Movie News with Niklsun. I'm your host, and on this show we're going to be breaking down all of the day's movie news and kind of giving a little bit of background into what it means for the production in general, such as casting decisions, trailer announcements, director announcements, things like that. So, without any further ado, let's get started with today's Hot Topics. And this first hot topic we have to talk about today is one that's been 20 years in the making. Last night on the Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon, Jim Carrey and Jeff Daniels actually came out to debut the first trailer for the upcoming Dumb and Dumber 2. The one thing I took away from this trailer, first off, you can tell they haven't lost their step. You can full on tell that they haven't lost their step. It does look like a continuation of the story from the first movie, albeit 20 years later. The initial premise of the film is Harry finds out that he had, with his crush, Freda Felcher, from the original one that he talked about, the hot tub sequence, that he finds out that she actually got pregnant while they were seeing each other and had a baby. And so he basically goes on a road trip to try to find her. Meanwhile, Lloyd sees the picture of her and becomes infatuated with her. He's also been heartbroken because well, her name was Mary Swanson, but what did they call her? Mary Samsonite, after the briefcase. Those little touches were really funny. Especially a couple of the lines from the original one that they brought back, like, I like it a lot. You know, like they brought that back, and that was how I felt about the trailer. I really did like it a lot. There were a couple of times where they did feel like they were trying a little too hard, but then they totally redeemed themselves. The one that I thought, especially in the trailer, the one that I thought was trying a little bit too hard was the opening sequence at the insane asylum. I felt that they were just really kind of hamming it up, and then they redeemed themselves with the catheter. You know, and then the sequence at the end with the granny, and that was just wrong. It was I mean, there's so much to laugh at in this trailer, and it is just a tease. We really don't know the full aspect of the storyline yet. They've revealed it, but at least visually, we have not been inundated with what the movie's actually going to be about. But I cannot wait for this movie. I mean, we've been waiting for a long time for the Farrelly brothers to come back with something. Early word on this movie is it's going to be a kind of resurgence on Jim Carrey. Which I'm hopeful for. The only thing that I have a problem with that is that they said the same thing about Kick-Ass 2. Now, the problem with Kick-Ass 2 was right around the same time the first marketing came out for the movie, or sorry, no, just shortly after they had finished filming the movie. There was the unfortunate shooting at a school. One of many, which is really unfortunate, but Jim Carrey basically came out and took a stance against gun violence in total, and he said he would not support it in any way, shape, or form, because the movie itself had fights with guns, and you know, in the movie sphere, it was teenagers that were fighting in certain circumstances. He ended up removing himself from the publicity tour of the film. He said he would not promote it. It has nothing to do with his overall viewpoint of the film. It was just due to his he can't support gun violence in any way, shape, or form. That's what it came down to. It came down to his principles. So that really did hurt him. This movie, I doubt there's going to be anything about this that he's going to say, I can't support this, because he's been involved in this project for several years. Jeff Daniels, I think, has been involved a little bit more so, but he has been involved for several years. But to get back to the main point, I am super excited for this. Dumb and Dumber 2 cannot come here soon enough. It is going to be opening up on November 14th of this year, which coincides with the 20-year anniversary. I mean, it came out, I think, in the summer. The original one came out in the summer of '94, or in and around then. So this one, they're still keeping with the 20-year anniversary cycle. So I think that's really cool. I can't wait for this movie. When we get a full trailer for it, I'll definitely be updating you guys on here. All right, so the next topic we're going to talk about today is with Marvel's dance around directors for Ant-Man. They finally settled on somebody. And we finally settled on, or sorry, they finally settled on director Peyton Reed, who, when I heard about this, I tweeted out there are too many puns, because about a week and a half ago or so, I said that Marvel was going to be looking for a yes man director, just someone who they could basically give notes to and say, this is what you're going to do, this is how it's going to move. You not saying to them you don't get any input, but the creative heads, the studio heads, would be the ones who would be involved in all the decision making. Well, they actually went out and got the director of the movie Yes Man to direct this. And I felt that that was fitting, because we all kind of called it. Um, it's gonna. The one thing that I have a problem with this, he's done some good movies in the past. He did Yes Man, which was okay. He did The Breakup with Vince Vaughn and Jennifer Aniston. He also did Bring It On, which was the cheerleading movie from I think 2000, so about 14 years ago. Jesus, it's been 14 years. Um, so I mean, he's got some experience. He's also done a lot of work on television, but he doesn't have a style. He doesn't have a visual flair to him like Edgar Wright does. Edgar Wright would have brought something visually unique to this project. And I know we keep going back to that. We're not getting that anymore, so stop wishing for it. But in the same regard, Marvel for the longest time, like even Kevin Feige came out and said the only reason that we're doing this movie is because of Edgar, because of his vision. And they kept going on and on and on and on and on. Now, the one thing that I have an assumption with is that everybody makes a flop. Like Academy Award winning screenwriter Kiva Goldsman, the man who is responsible, he wrote a lot of episodes of Fringe. He won the Academy Award for Beautiful Mind. I mean, he's a Steven Spielberg works with this guy. You know, all these massive, massive movie tycoons work with this guy. He also wrote Batman and Robin. So good people can have a flop now and again. And I have a feeling that that's what was happening with Ant-Man. I think there's a lot of stuff we don't know of that was happening behind the scenes. And I have a feeling that first off, one rumor that's going around was that the original idea that he had for the script was not keeping within the expanse of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, what they were introducing into this new universe. Because remember, this movie was originally written, or originally positioned way back when Iron Man was being released, or when Iron Man was announced. Like, they announced them both at the same time. So the cinematic universe had not gotten to what it was, or what it is nowadays. So I can see that being a contributing factor to why Edgar Wright left, or at least why Marvel came in and said, no, we need you to do these changes. And Edgar said, no, I'm not going to do them. Or he did some of them, and then he said he's not going to do the rest of them. They took the script and gave it to somebody else, and then they rewrote it. And Edgar Wright said, oh, to hell with this, and stormed off. And Joe Cornish went along with him. But another part of this story is Adam McKay, who was the director in line before Peyton Reed. He's the director of such films as Talladega Nights, Anchorman, Anchorman 2, Step Brothers, all the Will Ferrell comedies. As well, yeah, and the other guys. So he has some action under his belt. He was the one, out of the choices that they brought out, he was the one that I was hoping for, only because I felt that he had the most experience. But I was a little worried about it. Now I'm really worried because they said that Adam McKay is going to be coming in and he's going to be a script consultant. And he's going to be overseeing, or not necessarily overseeing, but he's going to be contributing to the script. That has me worried, because any movie that Adam McKay has done is almost 80% improv. The script is there just to get them from point A to point B, and they fill in the rest on the actual day. And that has me really worried, because if Ant-Man is going to be full-fledged comedy, which it most likely will be an action comedy, but if it's a full-fledged comedy, this has me really worried. Because Adam McKay, yes, he's great with improv, but it's mostly due to the talent that he has along with him. Granted, you have someone like Paul Rudd in the lead role. That's a great comedic actor. Michael Pena. Michael Pena has shown a lot of knack for comedy, especially in the movie 30 Minutes or Less. Even though he had a smaller role, I felt that he was very funny in the movie. And so him coming in to help with the script has me just worried, because are we just going to get, they make joke, and then you just say, hey, yeah, just make a joke, just use your surroundings, just make a joke. Like, that's what worries me about it. But along with the announcement of these two being involved, Marvel also unveiled the first official synopsis for the film. So I'm going to read that off here for you. It's armed with armed with an astonishing ability to shrink in scale but increase in strength, con man Scott Lang, played by Paul Rudd, must embrace his inner hero and help his mentor, Dr. Hank Pym, played by Michael Douglas, protect the secret behind his spectacular Ant-Man suit from a new generation of towering threats. Against seemingly insurmountable obstacles, Pym and Lang must plan and pull off a heist that will save the world. So a lot of these things are confirming rumors that we'd heard in the past. It's going to be a heist movie, that the two Ant-Mans from the comics are actually going to be teaming up in the film, because both Hank Pym in the comics was the original Ant-Man. He's the one who created the suit. Scott Lang was a thief who stole the suit from Hank Pym in the comics. So the fact that it almost looks like Scott Lang is going to be Hank Pym's apprentice and Pym would have created the suit as a means to be a con man, and Lang is now his apprentice coming up in that world. I think that's pretty cool. We still don't know exactly who's going to be the villain in the movie, and I have a little feeling that Patrick Wilson is going to be that villain. Just a slight feeling. I don't know. This confirms though that Michael Douglas is not going to be playing a villain. That they are teaming up, and that they are going to be like, this is going to be a really unique Marvel movie. I'm hopefully anticipating this. I have hope for it, but I'm not getting my wallet out yet. Let's just put it that way. So I mean, yeah, we now have the director, we now have the contributing screenwriter. We still or Marvel is still on track for their July 17, 2015 release. So as long as filming starts up within the next couple of weeks, that shouldn't have any problem at all. But I mean, if we get more information about this, I'll definitely update you guys on here. And the last bit of hot topic news that we have to talk about is Brad Pitt's new World War II film, Fury. At the E3 conference, they actually unveiled the first footage from the film. And it was interspliced in a featurette of like behind the scenes. So you got to see a lot of interviews with the actors. You got to see a lot of second-hand shooting where they were actually filming the filming units, kind of like a movie within a movie type deal. But you got to see the first actual footage from the film. And a couple of things that I took away from the footage, which really has me intrigued by this. First off, it's David Ayer, the guy who's responsible for writing Training Day. He directed End of Watch, which I felt was a fantastic movie. I did not get nauseous at all from the handycam aspect of it, but I thought it was a fantastic character study, which I really enjoyed. And it also it reteams him with Michael Pena, who Michael Pena was one of the main characters in End of Watch. And so he's one of the main stars in this as well. So it stars Brad Pitt, Michael Pena, Logan Lerman, Shia LaBeouf, John Bernthal, who's from Walking Dead and Wolf of Wall Street, and also Jason Isaacs. Now, a couple of things that I was really taken aback by this footage was, first off, a lot of practical effects. There are some visual effects in there, you can tell, but David Ayer has always been someone who is, if you can shoot it on film, shoot it on film. We'll do it in post if we have to. But if we can get it in camera, we're going to get it in camera. And I've always really appreciated that mindset. Now, sometimes what will happen is a director will have that type of viewpoint, and it doesn't end up working out because either they didn't have a grasp on the practical effects, they didn't know how to shoot it properly, or this, that, or the other thing. There's lots of different variations and factors that can come into that. With someone like David Ayer, I have a lot of hope, mainly due to End of Watch. Anyone who has seen that movie knows exactly what I'm talking about. There was hardly any special effects in that whatsoever. So I'm really intrigued by that, but the biggest thing that I liked about it was they came out and said that they're doing it all on 35mm film. So they're actually shooting it on film, not on digital. They're using dolly systems. They're using camera cranes. They're using car rigs. They're using jibs. They're using all non-handheld ways of filming, which is awesome. We're not going to get that shaky cam, the spastic shaky cam. I'm really glad we're not going to be getting that because we're actually going to be able to see the action, and the action looks intense from the little bit of footage that we saw. But when we get a full-fledged trailer for this, I'm definitely going to update you guys on here. But as it stands right now, I'm really intrigued by Fury, and it will be coming out at the end of this year. I believe it's in November. But we get more information about this, I'll definitely update you guys on here. All right, well, that brings us to Rapid Fire. So Rapid Fire is a segment where we're just going to be doing little bits of updates on topics that we've already talked about, or new pieces of information come out. There's just not a lot of information there to delve into. So the first bit of Rapid Fire is talking about Mission Impossible 5. So with Mission Impossible 5, we know that Tom Cruise is returning to the role of Ethan Hunt. It's being directed by Christopher McQuarrie, who directed Jack Reacher, and he also directed The Way of the Gun, which is a great movie back in 2005 with Ryan Felipe and Benicio del Toro. Simon Pegg is rumored to be back. There's no official confirmation about this, but on top of that, we have Jeremy Renner in an interview. Not an official studio announcement. That's why I'm finding this a little fishy. But I believe that this was done in earnest, that this was just his way of confirming that he is involved. But he in an interview with Yahoo, he talked about how he's got his upcoming filming schedule. So he's doing Avengers 2 right now, and they're almost done shooting his segments at least. And then right after that, he's going into, I think he's prepping the new Bourne film, but then he's also said Mission Impossible 5 is rearing its head. So he confirmed that he is involved in that movie, and Simon Pegg is rumored to be back. Paula Patton is likely to come back, but not confirmed. If that's the case, this is going to be the first time in Mission Impossible franchise history that we're going to be getting the same crew back from the previous film. Every other movie, he's had a different crew to deal with. So I mean, I'm intrigued by that. I really am intrigued by Chris McQuarrie's directorial style. I feel that giving him a bigger budget and giving him more time to work on it is going to improve the action scenes that we got in Jack Reacher, because I felt that they were really good, but you could tell it was his first time directing action. And I have a feeling that getting a much bigger crew and a much bigger budget will help him on this type of project, because Mission Impossible, they do go more grandiose. They do go bigger. They do go better. So there's no plot details yet about the film, but it is scheduled for release on Christmas Day 2015. That most likely is just a placeholder. They're probably going to update that, because when they originally set that, a little movie coming out by Disney around that same time was not announced yet. And that little movie is Star Wars Episode 7, which opens a week before it. So I can see them either bringing it up a little bit or pushing it back. Knowing McQuarrie's directorial style and his editing process, they're probably going to be pushing it back. So when we get more information about this, I'll definitely update you guys on here. But as it stands right now, we got Tom Cruise and Jeremy Renner confirmed to come back for Mission Impossible 5. And the last topic we have to talk about today is an update on the Daredevil Netflix series. Now, I keep getting some questions in from people asking, why am I covering television shows when this is about movie news? The reason I'm covering these specific shows is because Kevin Feige and Alan Horn have both come out and confirmed that the Netflix television series for Marvel fit within the Marvel Cinematic Universe. They're in the same universe as the Avengers, as Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., all of these shows. So what happens in these shows will affect the movies and vice versa. So with that said, Vincent D'Onofrio, who most people might remember as the original villain in Men in Black, he was on Law and Order: Criminal Intent for several years. He was in Full Metal Jacket. You know, he's long film resume. Well, he has actually been cast as the Kingpin, Wilson Fisk, in the Daredevil Netflix series, which I think is really kind of cool. But in the same regard, I don't know exactly how they're going to do it, because the Kingpin is the type of person who appears fat, but he is 100% muscle. He does not have an ounce of fat on him. He just appears that way. And Vincent D'Onofrio is the exact opposite right now. The dude, I don't think, has any muscle on him whatsoever, but he's severely overweight. Now, maybe they're going to be trying to do something with that, saying that no, that is actual muscle, and then using special effects if he gets hit to just have something stop him. I don't know exactly what they're going to be doing, but the fact that they got someone as talented as Vincent D'Onofrio to play the Kingpin, I'm getting even more excited about this. He's joining Charlie Cox, who was cast last month as Matt Murdock, also known as Daredevil. And production is expected to get underway pretty soon, because the show is going to be unveiled next summer on Netflix, and all 13 episodes are going to be available, as is Netflix's usual way. So the thing that's weird about this, though, is that we've only been hearing about Daredevil. Jessica Jones is the rumored next installment that we're going to be getting, but we don't even have a time frame for that. We don't even have a showrunner for that. We don't have anybody really involved with that, so it's kind of unique. But if we get more information about that, I will definitely update you guys on here. Well, that'll about do it for us here on Coming Soon Movie News with Niklsun. Thank you so much for watching. You guys have been a great audience. And don't forget to click subscribe there in the bottom corner. You can get updates whenever I post a new video. Don't forget to add me on Twitter. You can find me on Twitter at Niklsun, Niklsun, for all of your updates on movie-related information. And you can also visit our website at movienewswithniklsun.ca, where you can email us any questions in the contact section to movienewswithniklsun@gmail.com, and we'll answer any of your questions on our Friday episode along with our review. So again, without any further ado, this has been Niklsun. Thank you so much for watching, and you guys enjoy the rest of your day. Take care.